An ex-cop in Tennessee will soon head back to court on 2 charges of official misconduct after he appeared in an OnlyFans video while on duty. We speak with the content creators who were part of that video about what led up to the incident and the impact it has had since. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. So we've learned that a former Nashville police officer agreed to suspend his police certification status indefinitely, pending the outcome of criminal charges being filed against him. Now, we first reported about Sean Herman last year when he was fired from the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department and then arrested for apparently appearing in an OnlyFans skit. And the ill-advised fake traffic stop took place April 26, 2024 in a warehouse parking lot while Herman was on duty as a patrol officer, according to a news release from the department. And the officer in the video, later identified as Herman, can only be seen from the chest down. You don't see his face, but it's obvious the man is wearing a police uniform. And at one point, at least part of the police department patch is visible. Now, we can't show you the video titled, "Can't Believe He Didn't Arrest Me," but we can describe it for you. So you got a woman named Jordin who creates, not for safe work videos on OnlyFans behind the wheel of a car. And someone else in the car says that she was going too fast, turns the camera to show a white patrol car out the back window, but Jordin replies that she won't be getting a ticket and says she plans to show the officer her breasts. So Herman apparently steps up to the car, identifies himself as Officer Johnson, and he tells Jordin she was speeding, going 65 in a 45. He asks for her license and registration, but Jordin says she doesn't have it in this car. But what if she showed him her breasts? And then appears she lifts her shirt. He tells her he can see that anytime on the internet, so she invited him to touch her, and some versions of the video online cut off. But Herman allegedly touched Jordin's breast. He then reportedly fondled himself before telling Jordin he was only going to give her a warning for speeding. But not long after it was filmed, on May 8th, Specialized Investigations Division detectives found the video and identified Herman as the man in an MNPD uniform. Police Chief John Drake fired Herman the next day. He'd been on the force for 3 years. And the investigation continued after Herman was fired, and he was arrested in June on 2 counts of official misconduct. So we looked up the Tennessee statute on that, and it is a Class E felony. The criminal statute reads, a public servant commits an offense who, with intent to obtain a benefit or to harm another, intentionally or knowingly, commits an act relating to the public servant's office or employment that constitutes an unauthorized exercise of official power, commits an act under color of office or employment that exceeds the public servant's official power, refrains from performing a duty that is imposed by law or that is clearly inherent in the nature of the public servant's office or employment, violates a law relating to the public servant's office or employment, or receives any benefit not otherwise authorized by law. Now, judges have discretion in sentencing, which could include probation, fines, or even 1 to 6 years in prison. That is, if he's ultimately convicted or takes some sort of plea deal. But Herman was granted a $3,000 bond and released as this case progresses. And then you go to August of 2024, and that is when Herman's certification was brought up before the Tennessee Post Commission. Post stands for Peace Officer Standards and Training. And at the hearing, Herman's certification was suspended.
Metropolitan Nashville Police Department and the case of Sean A. Herman. Mr. Herman was submitted for decertification based on his termination for criminal conduct, and we have an agreed order, so I will turn it over to our representative from legal.
Attorney Bareback Nicely, I spoke with Mr. Herman's attorney last night. There are pending criminal charges. He has agreed to enter a suspended status with his post-certification indefinitely. When or if he were to close those criminal charges, at that point, he would come in front of the commission, ask to be reinstated, and this post-decertification will start from the beginning of that informal.
Commissioner Wright, make a motion to accept the agreed order.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wright. We have a second.
Second.
I'm sorry, who was the second by Commissioner Jackson?
We have a motion to accept the agreed order and a proper second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Metro Nashville Police spokesperson Don Aaron was quoted by News Channel 5 as saying that was one of the most outrageous, disrespectful acts that a person here could do. And by disrespectful, I mean to all the MNPD employees and this agency. Herman is due back in court on his misconduct charges on April 10th. But as it turns out, Herman was already in danger of losing his job before this fake traffic stop even happened, because according to Herman's personnel record, which was obtained by News Channel 5, Herman had apparently been involved in a series of crashes caused by poor decisions behind the wheel. He was also accused of sexual harassment. So according to News Channel 5, records show that last year, Herman signed a last chance agreement to keep his job after investigators found he created, quote, an offensive work environment for a coworker through sexual comments and actions. And Herman allegedly harassed a female officer by sending her explicit text messages hoping she would have sex with him. In another alleged incident, Herman reportedly met up with two other officers, a male and a female, while in uniform at a restaurant. And the officers say Herman pulled out his personal cell phone and showed them a nude photo of a woman he said was his ex-girlfriend. Now, later on, that same female officer reported that when she shared a squad car with Herman, he asked her to leave her phone in the car so he could go through it and look for naked pictures of her, allegedly to add to a file he had of nude photos of women. And get this, investigators uncovered that Herman had his own OnlyFans account. He reportedly told the female officer about it, and when questioned by detectives, said he'd had one for 6 months and posted one nude photo of himself. So investigators found Herman violated the department's policy on sexual harassment. They gave him a 10-day suspension, which they pulled from his vacation time. He was required to undergo training on maintaining a respectful workplace. He had to stay out of trouble for 2 years. But look, less than, 1 year later, he was fired for this stunt. Now, we had the opportunity to sit down with the woman in this video, Jordin, and her husband, referred to as Hubs, who was apparently behind or helped create some of this video. And it was a very interesting conversation. Let's hear what they had to say. All right, so I want to bring in right now Jordin and her husband, who we're going to go by Hubs, right? That's the name we're going with, Hubs. I love it. Great. Okay, so great to have you both here. Thanks so much for taking the time. Jordin, I want to start with you. Just what has this whole experience been like for you since it was all in the news and today? What has this all been like?
I think it's been stressful for everyone with what's going on. Just from the very beginning of it, just blowing way out of proportion than what it really was. And then everything just being pushed and not getting really any end to it.
You feel the same way, Hubs?
Yeah, the problem is there's just been a lot of false, I don't even say narratives, because I don't think there was a point that a narrative usually has a purpose. I think it's just been, a lot of clicks and shares. And unfortunately, the way the media cycle works is there's not necessarily factual representation always. So, it's easy to click and repost and reshare and not necessarily have all the context.
Well, what is everybody getting wrong? What's the context? What are the facts that are being missed?
There's, I think, a couple of things. One of them is they said that it was an OnlyFans video, but it's not like an OnlyFans video. It was a skit that we put on Twitter just to get clicks.
Yeah, just like just a fun little, supposed to be a fun little skit just for media attention, more or less. I mean, obviously she has a very large following already, but with Twitter, clicks equals, engagement equals people going to your, OnlyFans, that equals money. But the biggest thing I would say that she'll probably miss is there was no monetary exchange for this. That's been the big legal issue within the court case, is that there was no, I think what they're trying to do, and this is my 2 cents, is they're trying to prove that he was somehow compensated in some way in order to do this.
You mean Herman?
When in reality,
Mr. Herman.
Yes, okay. Correct. Yeah, Sean was not paid, was not compensated. There was never a monetary discussion of any sort. It was literally just like him reaching out actually to a local post, wanting to do a video, that wouldn't have involved money, but just a video in general, like to film a video. And I was like, hey, it'd be cool if we just did this little skit as like a prelude. So the video never happened. The skit happened as a prelude, and then obviously Metro detectives got a tip, and that's where it all took off.
What a story. right? And look, for that, I gotta call out our incredible sponsor because it's their support that allows us to keep making episodes like this, and that is Morgan & Morgan, America's largest personal injury law firm. I mean, they have over 1,000 attorneys. You know why? Because they win a lot. Listen to this. In the past few months, Morgan & Morgan secured a $29 million verdict for a bicyclist in Philadelphia, $2.7 million for a car accident victim in Florida, and not to mention $5.6 million for a car crash victim in Georgia after insurance offered that client $0. And even if you think your case isn't worth millions of dollars, why not start a claim and fight for what you deserve? Morgan & Morgan makes it so simple. You can start a claim from your phone in just 8 clicks. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/LC Sidebar. Did you know him beforehand? I mean, what was the relationship?
We did not know him at all. He
So
just reached out to a
randomly
local
messaged?
subreddit. Mm-hmm.
So in the OnlyFans world, when it comes to like filming content, you can obviously, like, we don't have a network of like OnlyFans back pages where we can all reach out to each other and say, hey, like, let's film videos, let's do this, let's do that. It's usually via Twitter, via Reddit, via Instagram, whatever, but you reach out to other creators and you're just like, hey, I'm so-and-so, it'd be cool if we maybe, collaborated on a video, you go film a video. But a lot of times people who don't have OnlyFans will reach out to people with OnlyFans and say, hey, I'm cool with like doing the paperwork. I'm cool with, submitting all that so we could shoot a video. So he had reached out to a local Reddit post and then just mentioned, hey, I'm a police officer, so I need to keep my face out of it. And we were like, yeah, totally understandable. And that's where the idea came as like to do like a prelude skit prior to a video.
Yeah, could you talk to me about like how the skit came to be, like how you you came up with it, wrote it, how'd that all happen?
I do the media, so like these are me questions, I guess. So we did a local post, just like we normally would, not to do anything in particular, just saying like, hey, if there's anybody local who wants to film, yada yada yada. He reached out, hey, I'm not a creator, but I would love to shoot a video. So once we chatted with him a little more, it was like, he basically was just like, yeah, I'm a police officer, so I need to kind of be discreet. Obviously, like, you'd be blown away how many police officers, firefighters, nurses, doctors do OnlyFans to some capacity.
You mean do it or they watch it? Because I wouldn't be surprised by the latter. Do it. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
Like either their wives are a part of it, yada, 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 but everybody remains faceless, the whole no face, no case thing.
Right.
You see posts all the time, teachers getting popped for having OnlyFans and stuff like that. Every state's a little different on how they handle those things. Some states are much more liberal and they're totally cool with it as long as it's completely off, obviously not during work and stuff like that, or them doing anything to implicate the school that they work for or anything like that. There's actually a female Metro police officer that has an OnlyFans right now and is still employed. So, but anyways, he had reached out about, filming a video, and we were just like, hey, like, it would be cool if we just kind of did like a little prelude skit. And so he was like, well, what do you have in mind? And I was just kind of like, what do you think about like meeting up somewhere up near where we live and, off duty, obviously, and to shoot the skit. And what happened is he got stuck in court that day and wasn't able to get up here. And the original thought process was like, hey, I don't want you guys to think I'm flaking out on you, so why don't you just come down here before I start my shift and we'll just knock it out real quick. And it was like, all right, that's cool. So we just kind of met somewhere nearby his route right before his shift started to knock it out.
Jordin, when all this went down and he was charged and he was punished for this and he was identified, how did you feel about all that?
Because I don't know him very well, I didn't understand what he was being charged for. And at that point, we had stopped communication, so I didn't really get a whole lot of information. Actually, I try to stay out of it, so I don't really know a whole lot of information about his case. All I know really is what he's going through. I understand where they're coming from, but I also don't understand the level that they are attacking him on.
That's a politically correct answer.
Well, why? What do you think? Do you believe that there's more to it? Do you think that this is justified? Do you think, hey, he should have known better?
No. So here's, and I'm talking to you as if you don't know what's going on. You may know all of this. So if for the listeners,
Sure.
initially, I think this was May 25 or 7, somewhere in that general ballpark, he got fired, let go from the department. 30 days later, upon further investigation, I'd love to know who was doing that investigation and how they were investigating, but they decided to charge him with 2 counts of, I'm probably going to botch this, official misconduct, I think, were the charges. So that's 2 felonies. I mean, I understand the whole getting let go from the department thing because technically they said he was on duty or he was close enough to being on duty and in uniform and blah, 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 blah. So I understand that. The whole felony thing, or even just to be charged in general, even if it was misdemeanor stuff, is to me is asinine. To both of us is asinine.
Did police speak with you guys?
Yes. 5 detectives rolled up on our house.
What was that like?
Well, being that we don't live in Metro Nashville, we were kind of confused because they had to do a little bit of a hike to get to us. But, I mean, obviously we weren't implicated in any way, but
It's very scary.
it was a lot. And, you know, they do the typical tactical, here, we're going to split you guys up between our investigators and try to make sure our stories lined up. And I was just like, dude, like, we don't have anything to hide from you guys. Like, no, there was no malice here. There was nothing that's going to implicate, at that point, he hadn't been charged. This was right at the beginning. So we were like, you know, we didn't even think he would get fired for it. We just thought he'd get like reprimanded or whatever, and that would be the end of it. But
I've never been in trouble or pulled over.
yeah, we don't have
So
criminal
that was-
records. So it was like,
Yeah. Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, Jordin. I mean, your face went everywhere in this video. It was going viral. There were articles written about it. It was all on social media. You know, what has that been like for you in terms of what's the comments you've received? I am curious. I mean, with all this attention, has it actually increased your followers on OnlyFans? I mean, what has this been like?
It's definitely increased the followers because when he first got fired, we took the video down. And so everybody wanted the video. But again, what it was portrayed on social or the media was that it was a video. So they didn't understand that it was just like a very short clip.
people
In
thought
other
it was a
words,
sex tape.
people thought there was more. There was something that was going to happen after.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Correct.
So they came over to my OnlyFans trying to find that video and trying to get it. So that obviously made that blow up. Twitter obviously blew up. So
I mean, there probably could and would be a video, but because of pending litigation, that can't happen. So.
And I don't read a lot of the comments, so I try to keep peace within myself.
I do.
Were there negative comments, positive comments?
To be honest, I'd say it's 50-50, but most of it is I would say the overwhelming theme would be, and not to get too like racy, I don't know what is okay and what's not okay, but the overwhelming theme was, so if you're an unarmed black man, you can, get, accosted, shot, this, that, and the other. But if you grab that's where we draw the line. So that was like the common joke / comment that you would have seen in any Instagram thread, like below the CNN articles or the Fox News articles or the, TMZ articles, stuff like that. That was the most commonly posted. Something to that, theme would have been the most common comment you would have seen.
Do you think it puts, look, OnlyFans is obviously, controversial, but do you think this story puts an unwarranted stain on it in a way?
I think it's pretty stained already.
On OnlyFans or on us?
Both. I mean, look, it's obviously controversial, but people make a ton of money on it. But this is one of those stories where obviously people look at it, they judge it, they, like you said, they might jump to conclusions immediately from it. You look back on it, I imagine you're saying, I wish we didn't do it, because look at the consequences of what happened. And at the end of the day, I mean, do you feel that this was, maybe it's from the police response, but it's an unwarranted stain on, your lives and also in the industry?
You want to take that? You take that one.
I don't want to take that one.
I would say, I mean, as far as OnlyFans goes, OnlyFans is such a broad, I mean, again, I'm going to just talk to people as if they don't know the history of OnlyFans. It didn't start out as an adult NSFW platform. I mean, it just started out as people kind of like Patreon. It just started out as creators. I mean, people that jet skied. I mean, just you name it, you could find on there. Musicians were big on there. And then it kind of got hijacked by the adult industry. So, I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on OnlyFans. So this, believe it or not, would be on in my opinion, the more moderate end of it, believe it or not.
I think OnlyFans is very broad. Like, there are people on OnlyFans that just show pictures of themselves in lingerie, and then you have this other side that just go way
fully hardcore. And then before they really started moderating OnlyFans about 2-3 years ago, you could find stuff on there that would just make your eyes roll. So I think this is pretty, every day for that kind of industry. Obviously, if we were on an OnlyFans podcast right now, they would tell you this was really nothing. But being on more your end of it, it still probably looks fairly egregious to most people. But
Jordin, what are you hoping comes from all of this?
What do you mean specifically?
What are you hoping people take away from this story? What should people think about this story? And if in general your involvement, your husband's involvement in this, what should people be taking away from this?
I think if you're gonna do it the right way, so nobody gets in trouble.
All right, that's fair.
But I mean, I have a totally different view on OnlyFans than others, so it's a business for me.
Yeah.
Is that a different view than what other people see? I feel like most people think it's a business to, generate some revenue.
And a lot of people have fun with it, and
so many people are gonna be like, "What is she talking about?" What she means is there's a lot of people in the swinging scene that do OnlyFans.
Okay.
But it's more like,
I gotcha.
It's like, this is the purpose, this is the bonus, whereas it's like, we don't do all that, so it's more just straight business.
So let me just end it like this. Let me just ask you this question. Obviously, this is a very unfortunate situation, what's going on with Mr. Herman, but did this help your business in a way? Did it bring more subscribers, more followers? I mean, in the end, did this benefit you guys?
For sure.
It helped us, and it did benefit us, but at the same time, it did cause a lot of stress and anxiety, because we never wanted to be that out there.
No publicity is bad publicity kind of concept.
Right.
I mean, Kanye's doing some pretty crazy stuff right now. It's we're all over here going, what in the world? But it's somehow
other episode.
That is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
That was the quickest thing I could think of to compare the two. But it's, I mean, obviously,
not a great comparison. That's the last.
Wasn't a great comparison. yeah. Just to say, like, wow, everybody's going, what in the world? But it's probably benefiting him somehow. I mean, obviously, we hope Sean comes out of this on the other end. I mean, from what I understand, I don't want to talk too much about the case because I do keep in minimal contact with him. They've pushed it several times, and I think that's because they're looking for, during discovery, they were trying to find anything to pin the monetary thing to him when there was none. They're never going to find it because it doesn't exist. And I think, the unfortunate part for him is like, if you have a pending felony, you're kind of limited to what you can do. I mean, you can't walk into a job and be like, hey, and they're going to look at that and go, we kind of need to wait and see what happens here. And unfortunately, we're going on almost a year now that this has been going on, and it's still open, which is just shows you how well the justice system works. But obviously, we hope he comes out on the other end in a good spot. And via talking to some producers in the adult industry, if he ever wants to go that route, he'll have that option. Not saying he should. I mean, it's not like he won't find a way to make money if he really needs it. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is just like, we didn't set out with the intent. I know it sounds dumb to become famous. That obviously we're not famous, but to have that kind of public,
Right.
in Nashville, people see her and they're like, oh, she's the girl from the thing, so
Yeah.
we didn't set out with the intent to do that. It was more just like supposed to be a fun, funny little skit, and it just kind of turned into a big, ugly ordeal. So
Well, look, I wanted the opportunity to speak to both of you to see, your perspective and your side on how all this, went down, what happened. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about it and talking to our viewers and listeners about it. We'll monitor what happens with his case, and we wish you both the best of luck. But thank you so much for coming here on Sidebar.
absolutely, we appreciate it.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.